The stars were silent for a long time. For years, humanity had been listening to the galaxy. Radio waves, deep scans, and space signals. Earth searched for signs of other life. Some scientists believed they were not alone. Others thought the silence meant the galaxy was empty. But then one day, everything changed. It was a normal morning on Earth. People went to work, children went to school, and satellites circled the planet. On the far side of Mars, a deep space listening station picked up a strange signal. It was not random noise. It was clear, organized. It had structure. And more important, it was not human. The message repeated every 10 seconds. No one could understand the language, but the rhythm was sharp, like a warning. Earth's top linguists and AIs worked on decoding it. Within hours, they found something chilling in the patterns. The signal was saying one thing over and over again: "We see you. Stay where you are." At first, Earth's leaders were confused. Was it a threat? A greeting? A mistake? But as the hours passed, more signals came in. They were coming from all directions, multiple star systems. Some were louder, some were closer. All of them carried the same message, in different tones. "We see you. Stay where you are." Now, the panic began. The United Earth Council called an emergency meeting. The president of Earth Security, Admiral Lena Cross, stood before the world's cameras and tried to keep her voice calm. "We have received contact from intelligent life beyond our system," she said. "We ask all citizens to remain calm. Our science teams are working around the clock. There is no reason to fear at this time." But behind closed doors, fear was growing fast. In the dark chambers of the Defense Council, Admiral Cross slammed her hand on the table. "This is not first contact," she said. "This is a warning, and no one gives a warning unless they are ready to act." Earth's response was peaceful. They sent a diplomatic ship named the Horizon Dawn toward the source of the nearest signal. The crew carried peace offerings, historical data, human art, and messages of friendship. Cameras were placed on board to broadcast the journey live to Earth. Billions of people watched as the ship crossed deep space. It never made it. Just before reaching the signal's origin point, the Horizon Dawn was attacked. The entire feed went black. Seconds later, a different broadcast replaced it. An alien ship floating above the burning remains of the Horizon Dawn. Behind it, in the stars, a message appeared in bright red light. "This is your first and final warning. Remain in your cage." People on Earth froze. The broadcast played again and again. The media called it the burning silence. No one knew who these aliens were or what they wanted. But one thing was clear. They were watching, and they were not friendly. In the shadows, humanity's leaders made a decision. No more signals, no more talks, no more peace missions. Something ancient was unlocked. Deep under the ice of Europa's moon, inside a secret base known only to a few, a vault opened. Inside it were files, weapons, and plans. Things designed not for peace, but for survival. One project had a red stamp across the top. Black Flame. Unleash only if Earth is threatened. Admiral Cross looked at the folder and said just 3 words. "It's time." Across the stars, the alien empires celebrated. They believed they had stopped humanity before it became a threat. They believed Earth would now stay quiet and weak. But they were wrong. The silence from Earth was not fear. It was preparation. Something was coming. And when it arrived, it would change the galaxy forever. For 7 days, Earth said nothing. No response, no warning, no message. The galaxy waited. Alien networks streamed the destruction of the Horizon Dawn again and again. Talk shows across the stars mocked humans. They called them foolish, weak, and soft. The strongest races laughed and drank to the death of the Earthling's dream. But on Earth, there was no laughter. There was silence. Behind locked doors, the United Earth Council sat in total darkness, watching old files from ancient wars. Footage no civilian had ever seen. Cities turned to ash, skies burning red, armies that moved without mercy. These were not images of alien wars. These were videos of humanity, at war with itself. Admiral Lena Cross stood in the center of the war room. Her voice was cold. For years, we wore a mask. We told the galaxy. We were peaceful, friendly, diplomatic. But they've seen our face now. The council said nothing. She continued. Project Black Flame is approved. The storm begins now. On every continent, orders were sent. Quietly, without noise. In the deserts of Australia, old underground bases came to life. In the cold of Siberia, satellites blinked on. Satellites that no one remembered being launched. On the dark side of Earth's moon, a black ship began to rise. It had no name, it had no lights, it was not meant to be seen. The humans who boarded it had no medals, no families, no records. They were known only as the Revenants. They were not soldiers, they were ghosts of war, trained for one purpose only: revenge. Meanwhile, alien species celebrated. Some wanted to invade Earth before it could rise again. Others said there was no need. Let them stay silent, said a Zarnak leader. They've returned to their cage. But in the far edge of the galaxy, one old race watched carefully. The Vorthon. The Vorthon were not the strongest or the largest species, but they were ancient. And they had fought humans before, long ago, in the shadows. Their leader, Master Vec, stared into the dark screen showing Earth's still silence. Whispered to his generals, "You fools! This is not peace. This is the sound of sharpening blades." At the same time, in Earth's orbit, a secret station named Echo Red began moving. No one knew it existed. It had one mission: track every alien broadcast, fleet movement, and hyperspace jump. Suddenly, a red light flashed. A convoy of alien transport ships, traveling near Saturn's rings, had gone dark. No distress call. No escape pods. Nothing. Gone. The aliens called it an accident. A meteor. A black hole. But inside Echo Red, Earth's generals watched the truth. Footage from a hidden drone showed the moment. A small black human ship uncloaked, moved like lightning, and cut the convoy into pieces in seconds. Then vanished again. No message. No name, just silence. Back on Earth, a short, encrypted message was sent to the Council. 4 words only. First test. Mission complete. Admiral Cross closed her eyes. Let the galaxy laugh now, she said. They won't laugh for long. And somewhere, in the dark between stars, humanity began to move. One system at a time. No noise. No mercy. Just the storm, waiting to break. The stars over the planet Veltrax 9 were calm. Its people were not. The Veltraxi were a mid-level alien race. Peaceful farmers, simple traders. They had no armies, no warships, and no interest in fighting. But they were part of the Alliance, and the Alliance had laughed when Earth begged for peace. So now, they too were marked. That morning, the skies above Veltrax turned black, not from clouds. From fire. Without warning, a ship arrived. Not a fleet. Just one single massive human vessel. Its name was not known. No flag. No signal. It floated, silently, like a shadow pulled from nightmare. The Veltraxi government sent a message. We are civilians. We do not wish to fight. The ship did not reply. 2 minutes later, the capital city was erased, not attacked. Erased. No explosions. No remains. A beam of white heat fell from the sky, and the city was simply gone. Other cities began to scream for help. Ships tried to escape. Emergency calls went out across the galaxy. But it was too late. The human ship moved slowly, carefully, like it was making a point. One city, then the next, then the next. 7 cities fell in 20 minutes. And then, just like it came, the ship vanished into the stars. No message, no warning, no demands, just flame. The Veltraxi homeworld burned for 2 more hours from orbit fires. Then it went quiet. When the Alliance finally responded, they found nothing but ash. The Galactic Council was horrified. They held a secret meeting in the great halls of Torvan Prime. Leaders from 40 species sat together in fear. "This is madness," shouted one alien general. "They've become monsters." An elder of the Varnic race spoke calmly. "No, they've become honest. You showed them your power. Now they are showing theirs. Another voice rose. It was trembling. But we were stronger, weren't we? No one answered. Back on Earth, Admiral Cross watched the Veltraxi footage on a dark screen. Around her, military officers stood in silence. She turned to the room. We gave them a warning. They didn't listen. This is the beginning. Someone asked, should we release the footage? She smiled coldly. Yes. The galaxy needs to see what happens when Earth is crossed. Within the hour, the attack footage was broadcast across space. Every screen, every station, every species saw it. Cities burned without a single human word. No armies landed, no soldiers marched, no speeches, only action, only fire. People across the galaxy froze. Parents held their children tighter. Traders locked their doors, and leaders began whispering in panic. This is not the humanity we mocked. On a mining colony in the Rakan Belt, a retired alien captain sat watching the footage in silence. His friend leaned in and said, "Isn't this too much? Over one ship?" The captain answered without turning his eyes. "It's not about one ship. It's about respect." And we broke it. Meanwhile, on a hidden Earth station near Jupiter, the Revenants received new orders. Their leader, known only as Ghost One, read the target list. He gave a quiet laugh. "This was just the first flame," he said. "Let's see how the galaxy likes the firestorm." Outside, more black ships began launching, silent, deadly, and unseen. The galaxy thought it had ended a threat, but in truth, it had awakened one. The day began like any other across the galaxy. Children ran through the crystal streets of Zethar. Traders moved through the glowing tunnels of Vornax. On the snowy moons of Taldaris, people lit morning fires and prepared for the cold. No one knew they were living their last day. Above these peaceful worlds, space shimmered, not with stars, but with movement. Thousands of black ships. No lights. No names. No noise. Just death. Moving in silence. At exactly the same time, across 17 systems, Earth's revenge began. It started with the burning of Vornax 3, a mining, world famous for mocking Earth after the Horizon Dawn incident. The mines were deep, the cities tall, and the people proud. The first blast came from the sky, the second came from within the planet. Earth had planted a weapon years ago, a silent code hidden in their old trade machines. When it activated, the entire mining network collapsed, and the planet folded in on itself. In 5 minutes, Vornax 3 was gone. On Taldaris Prime, the sky turned red. People looked up and saw a massive human dreadnought, larger than any known alien ship, descending like a dark god. Their defense systems launched everything they had: rockets, lasers, drones. It did nothing. The human ship did. Not fire back at first. Instead, it dropped thousands of metal pods. The pods opened mid-air, and out came the Revenants. They didn't land to negotiate. They came to erase. By the time local soldiers reached the capital, the city was already ash. Children's stories would later speak of black angels, who came from the sky without sound, without fear, and without stopping. The same pattern repeated again and again. Each planet had a different defense. Each one failed. On Zethar 9, an alien emperor begged for mercy on live broadcast. He said, "We made a mistake. Earth is strong. We see that now. Please, let us talk." But the human fleet commander simply answered, "You had your chance. Now, you'll have your lesson." Then the feed cut. Zethar's oceans boiled. Its cities vanished under white fire, and across the galaxy, fear became real. The Galactic Council, once proud, once powerful, met in chaos. Screams filled the chamber. "We must unite. They'll come for us next. Who gave them this power?" But there were no answers. Only one message came from Earth that day, sent across all known frequencies. It said, "No more mercy. No more warnings. We gave you peace. You chose war. Now, you'll learn what it means to fight humanity." That message repeated 5 times. Then it ended. And so did hope for many. On a space station orbiting the gas giant Draenok, a young alien technician sat watching the destruction on his screen. His hands trembled. An older officer placed a hand on his shoulder. "They don't fight like others," the young one said. "No," the officer replied. "They fight like they've already seen the end. And now, they're writing it again." As the sun set across dozens of burning planets, a name began to spread. The Day of Ashes. It would be remembered for centuries. Not just as the day Earth attacked, but as the day the galaxy finally understood. Humanity was not weak. It was waiting, and now it had stopped waiting. They called themselves the Last Resistance. A group of 13 alien races met in secret, deep inside the gravity well of the dying star Zarnus. These were not weak races. They were the survivors. The few who had not yet burned under Earth's fire. Some had lost colonies, others had lost entire planets, but all had lost their fear. Or so they believed. Their leader was a warlord named Tarkun Kal from the Krath Dominion, a giant armored beast who once destroyed a sun to win a war. His voice echoed through the chamber as he raised his clawed fist. "Enough hiding. Enough waiting. They are just humans. They bleed like we do. They die like we do. And now, we will show them our power." The others cheered. Some shouted oaths. Others slammed weapons into tables. It was a moment of unity, but it didn't last, because, just then, something unexpected happened. A single drone entered the chamber. Small, black, silent. It floated slowly toward the center table, carrying a single object. A cube. The guards aimed their weapons. The leaders backed away, but the drone didn't attack. Instead, the cube began to glow. A hologram flickered to life. A woman appeared. Calm, cold, human. It was Admiral Lena Cross. Her eyes scanned the room like she was standing there in person. "Leaders of the Resistance," she said. "You've been gathering ships, planning your counterattack. I admire your bravery." Some growled. Some froze. One fired a weapon at the hologram. It passed through harmlessly. She continued, voice steady. "You want war? Fine. We'll give you one. But we prefer to end this. Quickly. So here's your chance." She raised a hand, and a 3D map of a planet appeared. Arcanis the Fort, a neutral planet. No cities, no civilians, only sand and storms. "Bring your best fleets," she said. "Bring your weapons. We'll bring ours." Then her tone changed, like iron under velvet. "But this time, there will be no warnings, no survivors, no second chances." The hologram faded. The room went silent. Some leaders shouted it was a trap. Others said it was a chance. The last one. In the end, they agreed. If they ran now, they'd die anyway. At least on Arcanis 4, they could die fighting. Within a day, fleets from 13 species gathered in orbit above the desert world. Thousands of warships, millions of soldiers, cameras from every corner of the galaxy watched. This was to be the moment humanity finally fell. But when the human fleet arrived, it was smaller. Only a few hundred ships. Alien leaders laughed. Tarkun Kal stood at the front of his command bridge and roared. "They came with so few. We will crush them." But then, the sky changed. The sun above Arcanis turned black. A weapon appeared. Not a ship. Not a beam. A structure. Dark. Hollow. Floating like a fortress born from nightmares. The humans called it the End Gate. And when it opened, reality broke. From inside it came weapons the galaxy had never seen. Ships that moved faster than thought. Bombs that bent gravity. Drones that burned through metal like fire through paper. In the first 10 minutes, 6 fleets were gone. Tarkun Kal screamed for his people to charge. They did. They fought like monsters. They died like ants. The sky above Arcanis turned into a storm of broken metal and falling fire. Alien soldiers on the ground tried to surrender. Some dropped their weapons and raised their hands. The humans didn't shoot. They didn't speak. They just vanished. And moments later, the ground opened up and swallowed the battlefield whole. The last resistance became a memory, and the galaxy watched in silence. They now understood. Earth had not unleashed war. Earth had become war. The war was over, but the stars were still burning. Across the galaxy, silence had taken root. Planets that once shined with color now floated like ghosts. Fleets that once roared with power were now shattered debris. And Earth stood alone, not because it had no enemies left, but because none dared speak against it. In the command chamber of the Earth Central Strategic Core, Admiral Lena Cross stared at a massive display showing the entire galactic map. Red lights blinked where battles had ended. Yellow lights blinked where surrenders were received, and green lights, those were quiet planets, watching, waiting, obeying. Behind her, high-ranking officials stood silently. No one spoke. No one celebrated. There was nothing to celebrate. This wasn't victory. This was a message. She turned slowly and said, "Prepare the final broadcast. Every race, every world, every corner of space." Her voice was cold, but tired. She had won too much. The broadcast was sent. Across stars and systems, across broken cities and darkened moons, from the richest planets to the smallest satellites. Every screen lit up. Once again, a face appeared. Admiral Cross. Her eyes didn't glow with pride. They were calm, almost sad. "This is the final message from Earth," she began. "We offered peace. You chose blood." Her voice was clear. No anger, no mercy, no rage. "Now you have seen what we are." Behind her, the screen showed silent footage. Fleets vaporized, cities turned to smoke, leaders begging, planets erased. "We are not conquerors. We are not tyrants. We are not gods." The image changed to show humans helping their own, rescuing children, rebuilding Earth, mourning. "They're dead, but we are survivors, and we do not forget." Then her face came back full screen, closer, sharper. "You took from us what we can never get back, and so we took from you what you thought was safe." A pause. Then her voice turned final. "This is the only warning. Any act of war against Earth, from this moment forward, will be answered with extinction." Dead silence. Then she added something unexpected. "But if you lay down your weapons, if you truly want peace, we will listen." Her eyes dropped, just slightly. "For our children, and yours." Then the screen went black. Forever. Across the galaxy, no one dared to speak for hours. Even in hidden bunkers, in shattered temples, on dying moons, people sat in silence, watching, thinking, remembering. And slowly, one by one, the messages of surrender came. Peace treaties, trade offers, apologies, promises. It took weeks, then months, then a year. But at last, war ended. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy became quiet. Not because of diplomacy, not because of unity, but because of fear. Fear of the species that had once begged for mercy. And then became the bringer of fire. Historians would later write, "It wasn't the ships. It wasn't the weapons. It was the will of humanity. They didn't fight to win. They fought so no one would dare try again." On a distant alien world, a small child once asked his teacher, "Will the humans ever come again?" The teacher stared into the sky and whispered, "Not if we're lucky." And above them, unseen, a black human ship passed silently, watching.